Hello, I am Ben Hart and I am your current AU president. And come this Friday evening, we will know who the AU president-elect is. And that is why we are here today. Thank you for tuning in to see what our wonderful AU president candidates have to say about the key issues that matter to you. Our student elections are such an important part of our student experience. You get to choose who represents us for the next academic year on all levels, subject chairs, college officers, and tonight, full-time officers. If you've got any questions you'd like to ask, comment them in this Facebook feed or on Twitter using hashtag X, that's EXE elections 21. Each candidate will have up to 30 seconds to answer the questions put before them. If you want to find out more about what each candidate wants to change at Exeter, then head over to our website, exeterguild.com/elections. I'm now going to introduce each candidate to tell us a bit more about themselves and why you should vote for them. Each of them will have 1 minute for their introduction. So first up for this evening, Katie.
Hi everyone. I'm Katie and I'm a third year sports science student. I'm currently a member of the EULC. Key reasons, I just love this experience, and that's why
I think we're having some technical difficulties with Katie just for the moment. I hope that's not just me and I haven't completely cut her off, but I'm getting a nod. We'll go over to Ailish for now, and hopefully we'll get Katie back in a second. So Ailish, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello. So I'm Ailish. I'm a third year medical science student, and I'm currently the club captain of women's basketball this year. So the reason that I'm running for AU president is because whilst I've had an amazing experience being part of the AU, I know that this opportunity isn't available for everyone, and the ease of my experience is not shared by the entire student body. So I want to make this opportunity equal for everybody. So I believe that I can do this through the points that I've stated in my manifesto. So, for example, increasing the sense of community between sports and within sport at Exeter, creating stronger connections with groups across campus to help educate AU members to the barriers that might be stopping participation. And I want to make sure that I do this all publicly to ensure that the great work of everyone is not gone to waste.
Perfect, thank you. Katie, so hopefully we've got everything sorted, student Wi-Fi up to its usual tricks. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm not sure if you got any of that, but I'm Katie. I'm a third year sports science student and I'm currently club captain of lacrosse, having been on committee last year. And both of these experiences are partly why I've decided to apply for the role of AU Pres. I've absolutely loved my time on committee. And during this time, I've also been working to provide the lacrosse club with women's wellbeing workshops after I've seen how beneficial the Good Lad initiative has been. So I'd love to stay next year and can build on this and hopefully offer it to more clubs.
Perfect, thank you. It was worth the wait. And now finally, Abhishek, do you want to introduce yourself? Oh, you're on mute, Abhishek.
Hello everyone, my name is Abhishek and I'm a master's student at the university. I am standing for the AU president post because in my past, like in my undergraduates, I had a lot of sports experience. I have also organized a lot of sports games and events in my college. So I thought that all that experience will be carried forward by me in this university, and I will do my best to do everything what all are required for the students. I like to bring up some new games in the sports club, organize new groups, new sports, so that students can enjoy new games apart from football and tennis, badminton. They can come to, like, they can join new clubs, they can experience new things. And also I would like to support each and every students to take part in each and every activities that we will do in the university. And also because of this COVID situation from last 1 year, we are not we like every students are not getting back to their sports, like they are not playing. they are at home. So I will try to do my best and try to get them back on the field. That's all. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Abhishek. It's good to hear a little bit about all of you and what you hope to do more broadly. Just to ease you into this evening, as I know it can be a little daunting, I'm going to start off with a fairly easy icebreaker question and ask you all, what was the last event you attended with more than 6 or a handful of people? So Ailish, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I don't think badly it wasn't a sporting event. It was actually a social, which I guess at this university is as much a sporting event as anything else we do. I think it was a very classic TP Wednesday. And it was almost a year ago exactly, as of last week or something, that I definitely missed that. So I'm really looking forward to the normalcy of next year, hopefully.
Yeah, don't we all? Don't we all? I think many people, that would be their last event too. Abhishek, what was your last event with 6 or more than a handful of people?
Yeah, so not here in Exeter, but back in India at the time of Christmas and New Year, we had a party and a social event, which was like we were 6 to 10 people. So that was the last events I attend. And after that, after coming to UK, because of the lockdowns and all, I am at home, like not meeting much of peoples. So that's why hoping to meet everyone soon by next month. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, it has been difficult since Christmas, that's for sure. And finally, Katie.
So I think my last big event was actually fight night at uni, followed by the Lemmy, which was a lot of fun because one of my really good friends was fighting. So yeah, went out with a really good night.
Perfect. It is good to reminisce, I think, on occasion and just remind us what we might be doing again sometime soon. So another sort of ease you in question. I know some of you touched upon it there, your motivations for running, but more specifically, what really spurred you on to run? What was there a particular moment or someone who inspired you to run, and kind of what brought you here to this position today? It takes a lot to stand in a full-time officer election, and yeah, I think it would just help everyone to know what's spurring you on at the moment, what's getting you through this online campaigning, and why does it mean so much to you? So Abhishek, let's start with you.
So like for me, this is the first time when I'm standing for a president. Earlier I was a vice president in my undergrad. So I thought let's take a step forward and just challenge myself to a big role. And so that I just thought let's apply for it. And also while doing the campaigns, I told each of my friends I know that please do vote for me. And in my manifesto, I have written that I have some of the experience in sports. And apart from that, I am a athlete and I'm a weightlifter in a gym in a state level, something like that, back in India. So I thought that this will be the one of the best opportunity for me to show up my skills, my leadership qualities, and all to the in the university. And just as if I become the president, then it will be a nice environment in the university, and students will also enjoy a lot, as per my experience and my knowledge. Yeah.
Perfect. All makes total sense. Katie, what's your answer?
So despite COVID, I've still really enjoyed my time as club captain and found it to be a really rewarding experience. And beginning to implement these wellbeing workshops is something that's given me an insight into how I could help other students. And the opportunity to do this on a much larger scale is really, really exciting. And I also study sports science, so the whole psychological side of how beneficial sport is for mental health is something I'm genuinely so interested in, and would love the opportunity to try and help as many clubs as possible with that next year.
And finally, Ailish.
Yeah, so I think the reason I was inspired to go for this role was because of the work that's continued despite not having sport this year. So as club captains, we would have still got to experience stuff like the EDI workshops, sexual harassment workshops, and I think that work is so important. So my main motivation is that this doesn't go to waste next year and we continue this off the court kind of work rather than just focusing on sports solely.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. I think we've made some good strides away from sport, and it's really important that those carry on next year. Absolutely. So the first question that we've been sent in is, what are you most excited to do next year if you get the role? So I will start off with Katie.
I'm really excited to work with all of the club captains, particularly the women's ones, to build on their workshops, but also just for things to get back to normal and be able to excel in so many sports like we usually do. I'd also really like to, having spoken to some club captains of smaller clubs, to encourage more spotlight fixtures for them on the Astra and the Crumb, so that more supporters can get behind these smaller clubs. Because I feel like at Topsham and Ducks, it's much harder to rally the troops all the way down there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Abhishek, what are you most excited to do if you're to get the role next year?
Yeah, I'm excited to bring up some new sports games apart from what we are having, and also focus on the students who are like mentally, who are not taking parts in the events. They are just like studying every day, not socializing with peoples and all. And also for students who are very mentally not stable, like they are not good in socializing, and also I will just tell them that do take part in a sports event. It will be better for their mental health and also for their studying and all, so that they can also be like they can be involved in many activities which will be benefit for their health and for their mental support also. So there are some and many more things I have thought to do. So there are some more new opportunities I will bring up, and let me I will I have planned many things, but I can't explain it in a larger way. But there are something which I can do.
Perfect, perfect. And Ailish, your answer to what you are most excited to do if you're to get the role?
Yeah, so I kind of mentioned it in my last point as well. It's just kind of developing what we've done this year. So for example, those workshops that I was talking about this year, last time that we had, I want to develop these into a more structured program, make them more regular and make them cover a much wider variety of social issues. Online learning is still quite a present thing. I want to develop the online resources that AU has to match those that the university are offering. So yeah, I just think because it's going to be very busy next year if it's face to face, I want to make the most opportunity of that increased exposure that every club is going to get.
Great, all great answers. You're going great so far, guys, so keep it up. I should just remind you about the stick to the 30-second limit as much as you can, because we've got a lot of questions to get through. And moving on to the next one, which is, what are you going to do to increase diversity and accessibility in sport? So we will start with Ailish for this one.
Yeah, so in terms of accessibility, I'm really excited to work closely with the current plans to introduce disability sport at the university, specifically wheelchair basketball. I know is currently up there and wanting to be developed the year after next. So that is a massive priority to me. In terms of diversity, those workshops that I was talking about, my whole idea is that with better education, AU clubs can become more equal, diverse and inclusive. So that's my main goal for that.
Great. And Katie?
So I think to be more inclusive and accessible, it starts with the education of particularly club captains. I've been trying to educate myself more on this by speaking to the Student Disability Campaign. So what I do next year is I'd make the UK History Disability Month a real focal point so that we can educate loads of people and prioritise that month, implement loads of new sessions and accessible sessions, and then depending on how that goes, we can implement the required ones throughout the rest of the year and make these inclusive sessions more of a normality.
Perfect. And finally, Abhishek.
Yeah. So diversity in sports is really important, and because it is important because it helps us to respect others and value one another in the society. So for that, I will just meet with different societies, collaborate with them, and try to bring some more diversity in the group. And in terms of accessibility, I will just look into the students that who are taking a parts in or not, and also by talking with another societies in the universities, I will try to do my best in so that I can do something for the students who are not taking part much in the sports events and all. That's all.
Great. Thank you all. Now, we've had a question come in, quite a broad question. So I know some of you might want to expand on, so it's around the Good Lad Initiative, and I'm thinking, Katie, for example, the work that you've done with already with kind of the workshop. So feel free to take this question wherever you want to, but it's how do you support the work with the Good Lad Initiative? Do you have any plans? What are your plans around that next year? And yeah, I will leave that open to you. So Katie, why don't we start with you?
So I know from a lot of friends that have participated in the Good Lad Initiative that it's been so beneficial, and they've highly recommended it, which is why I've decided to try and implement the women's equivalent, with a real focus on confidence in sport, because something that really frustrates me is a lot of women are quite fearful and intimidated about the weights room in our gym, so much so that they've even changed memberships to Pure Gym. And this is something I'd really love to help change our mindsets around and improve our confidence, enjoyment, and therefore participation.
Perfect. And Abhishek?
Yeah. So like in my past experience, I have saw that many my past experience in sports organization, like I will try to do the things which are lacking in the university, and like I don't think what's like I don't have a answer right now straightforward, but I have to think over it and do some of the things that are beneficial for the university and for the students in the this sports section. Yeah.
And Ailish?
Yeah, so I think it's worth noting here, the Good Lad Initiative actually rebranded 2 months ago to Beyond Equality. They renamed themselves, and they did this because there is this common misconception that they only deal in men's issues. And from talking to some of the people that run the workshops and some of the people associated with Beyond Equality at the university, I think it's so important that this change was made because they deal with so much awareness and the workshops are so good. So that's why it's so important to me to continue working with them next year.
Agreed. The reason I put my hand up is because I am actually getting more involved with Beyond Equality, so that you won't be able to get rid of me. Whoever succeeds me, I'll be sticking around in some capacity. So yeah, can't let go and all that. But next question is around socials, and it is, what are the candidates' thoughts on initiation? So obviously they've been socials have been very much disrupted this year with COVID, but what are your thoughts on initiations more historically, perhaps? Why don't we start with you, Abhishek?
Yeah. So as I can see that because of this COVID, many of the students are not many of other students are not going outside. And in terms of initiation, like we have to raise the awareness of the dangers of the initiation and consumption of alcohol among the students. Like in UK, many of the other universities are trying to launch some of the campaigns so that they can aware the students about the initiation and the administration and drinking of the consumption. So if I'm at the place of the president, then I will just look into that the students who are just socializing more should also should also keep their health good and also take part in the social activities so that what they are doing is their way, but also keeping their health and safety, giving them the condition first, and initiating like this is the thing what I would like to do.
Great. And Katie?
So as a club, we've decided for the past 2 years that initiations, they're not very nice in a sense, and it's actually put a lot of people off joining clubs and participating in sport as a result. So it's something we've felt quite strongly about not implementing as a club. But I do know with other sports, they are so well embedded and it's almost a tradition that it's really hard to get rid of. But that's something I'd definitely like to work towards next year, trying to stop.
And finally, Ailish.
Yeah, I do feel that initiations as a club do need to be reviewed to make sure that they are done in the spirit of socials and engagement and getting to know people rather than assigning value based on what year you are or what year you entered that sport at university. So I definitely do think there needs to be a review, but I agree with Katie. I think that there are some clubs where initiations will always be a part of that club. I just think they need to be done respectfully and safely.
Absolutely, I agree. I think there's certainly a way to introduce people into a club, and it's just making sure that's in the right context, and as you have all said, in the most friendly and welcoming way possible. So on to our next question that we've been sent in, and I think this is a lot more specific. But how will you increase Asian participation in predominantly white sports like lacrosse? So Ailish, do you want to start us off here?
Yeah, so obviously I can't speak for lacrosse as their club captain is here, and can definitely speak for herself. But I know that there's only so much diversity you can do in sport at Exeter, with Exeter being one of the whitest universities. So I think immediately that's something that needs to change. So I want to work with the Guild quite closely with these issues, but more specifically in sport, that's what I was saying about just education, just making clubs more inclusive so people feel that ethnicity or appearance isn't a barrier in their participation. I think that's just so massively important, especially at Exeter.
Katie?
Yep, so as the lacrosse club captain, I'm very aware of this, and I do feel that it is a barrier to a lot of people, just the stereotypes within not just lacrosse but other sports do have these stereotypes people are afraid to step into. So I think as clubs we need to reach out towards them to ensure them that we're a club that's open to absolutely anyone, beginners, wherever you're from, whatever your background is, we're open to them, but I think it should come from clubs to make this so apparent in the first place.
Absolutely. And finally, Abhishek?
Yeah, so as I am an Asian student too, so I think that because of the lack of first of all, there are very less students from Asia in Exeter, and Exeter, being as a white student, had a large number of population here. So I will look into that I will just join the societies which are here, like the Asian societies and Hindu societies, and Chinese and Pakistani societies are there in the university. So I will just tell them to send students take participate in the sports events. And many of the Chinese and Korean students, they are not socializing much with other students. They are like they are inside their friends groups and all. They don't socialize with other students. So I will see that many students should participate, meet new people, and especially give their best in the sports, because they play sports, but because of some diversity of, they feel that they will be not be accepted in the society or something. So because of that, they don't participate in sports even much. So I will see that I will do my best to bring all of them in a team and do their best in what they like to play in the union or in the society. That's
Perfect, thank you. And now, I guess this next question has been particularly explored this year and exposed, perhaps with so many updates and changing information. But how would you go about strengthening the relationships between committee members and the AU, and I guess you could extend that to beyond committee members as well, to everyone within the AU. But what are you going to do to strengthen the relationships between members and AU? So why don't we start this one with Katie?
So Ben, I think you've been really good at communicating with all of the club captains, and a lot of this was done in our Facebook group. So I would make Facebook groups with a lot of other key committee positions to communicate with them, which would relieve a lot of stress on club captains, I think. And also, as for other members, I think club captains should really make them aware of the Facebook page that you run, that's Sport at Exeter, and that way they can also keep up to date with what's going on and know more about the AU and the AU president as well.
Great answer. And Anna Abhishek?
So, sir, to connect with the committee members, social media is the best place to communicate with other members and other societies. So I will see that many of other societies should communicate first by the AU president, and I will look that they communicate with each and other society members and committee members. There should not be any diversity or any discrimination that he is a president, so he will not talk to us or not be support for us. So I will look into that. There is nothing like that, and try to communicate with each of the committee so that everyone can take part in that, and in a friendly relation they should do the work in a friendly nature without any discrimination.
And finally, Ailish for this one.
Yeah, so I think in order to do that, the AU needs to be seen as an approachable entity. So I know, for example, the club captains are in a group chat. I know my welfare sec are in a welfare page. I know my treasurer and stuff. And that's all just quite separate information. But I think there needs to be a presence of the AU within the entire AU student body, not just committees. So not only will that take some of the pressure off the committees themselves, but it also means that the AU will be seen as a very transparent entity. So I know Sunday's done great this year being present on social media, and I think the AU could do something similar and follow suit, because I think that's worked really well.
Yeah, and I know, so you feel like you're, attacking attacking me and attacking the AU, how it's run currently, but that's the purpose of this and why you're all here. I think Katie's just having some more technical difficulties, but we'll try and get her back shortly. So next question is, how can the AU support other non-sport focused societies, such as academic societies, with intramural and fun sports events? Ailish, do you want to start us off there?
Yeah, so one of my plans for next year would be to introduce an in-house competition where a group of, so I play basketball, for example, if we wanted to have a go at lacrosse, lacrosse would come and allow a training session for us to get involved, and vice versa, lacrosse could come and train with us. So this would be a really cool way to build that community within sport, but also I would be very happy to try and open that up between other societies as well, because I know membership fees can be expensive, so just having that one-off experience or just getting a weekend where you get to play a bit of sport can be really beneficial for mental health issues as well. So yeah, I think that in-house competition will really help build a community within students across campus.
Great, thank you. And Abhishek?
Yeah. So, sir, apart from the academics, like it is important with sports too, and I will look that I will also take part in other academic events and give my best in that also. Like at the time when these are things are important, like with the sports side by side, academics are also important. So I will I will do the things so that they can also in the academics also they can do the best. Yeah, that's what.
And Katie? Did you got the question? Yeah, you're all good. You didn't, yeah.
I apologise, the Wi-Fi is very temperamental. So what I think a real focus on advertising intramural sport, especially within academic societies, because it's such a good way to meet different people. And in first year, I wasn't really fully aware of this until halfway through the year. And on top of that, I've been speaking to the AU about implementing a new league that would bridge the gap between intramural and Bucks teams. And I think that would be another great way for people to get involved without sacrificing too much time or feeling playing, one match a week.
Great. Thank you, guys. And so our next question is a really important one, I think. And that is, due to the lack of in-person activities this year, there will be many students in 2021-22, bit of a mouthful, who have had a minimal sporting experience. What challenges and opportunities do you think this will bring for university sport? So why don't we start with Katie for this one?
I think it could bring challenges in a sense that people have got quite used to not participating in team sports and think, they could decide just to focus on their degree as they have done this year. But I think opportunities are to increase loads of trial sessions for beginners. And, during the pandemic, we've seen how important sport is for mental health, and just to really push on this factual knowledge to encourage people to get involved, meet new people and enjoy, whether it's a first, second or third year at university.
Abhishek?
Yeah. So because of this 1 year of COVID, many of the students are like a bit lazy in going out and playing games, and they are just focusing on their studies and getting a degree as soon as possible. But once everything is lifted out and the sports park is open, I will try my best to bring all the students back on the ground, to encourage them to participate and to motivate them that from the last 1 year you are just sitting at home not doing nothing. So just get off the bed and do something, do some activity, so that you will just get up your body, and it will be good for their mental health also, and for the mental and for their health also. Yeah, that's all.
And finally, Ailish.
So I think on an AU specific level, this is going to translate into committees are going to be inexperienced next year because they haven't had that experience with real face-to-face. I know with basketball, it's something that we're struggling, even getting people to run for committee, alongside the fact that if it is face-to-face, it's going to be chaos. It's going to be so busy because everyone wants to join in. So my plan for that is to work really closely with clubs over summer to make sure that they are prepared for what they're going to do, whether it is online or face-to-face or a mix, because I think it's so important to prepare especially inexperienced committees to handle next year.
Agreed. I think it's a massive year, and we've got plans to help with the handover and give the committees the best preparation that they can receive. So you should, whichever one of you is doing it, you'll have a lot of help, no doubt. Onto our next question, kind of coming up to the halfway point roughly tonight. What do you think would help in minimising the drinking culture surrounding many sports teams? Students that don't drink are often alienated, as alcohol can be a focus at socials. Now, obviously, I know you may have some strong thoughts on that. You probably come back and say that you've been to socials where alcohol isn't the main focus. But yeah, why don't we start with Ailish for this one?
Yeah, so I think this is a club-specific issue. So, for example, anyone can't tell a club what social to run and not to run. But I think there needs to be that awareness that socials can be run and not involve drinking. So in EUWBC, we've tried quite hard to implement more food socials, eating out, movie socials at people's accommodation, obviously pre-COVID. But just make sure there is that alternative so people can still feel involved socially, but not feel that pressure to drink unless they want to, really.
Great. And Katie?
So I know on Wednesday nights it's very well saying, you don't have to drink, come along. And that's usually fine for the first hour. But realistically, if you're not drinking and everyone else is around you, you will feel isolated. So like Ailish said, it's not just about Wednesday socials. That's one day a week. It's about having lots of other stuff to include absolutely everyone within your club. And I know we've done stuff like that pre-COVID as well, especially with teams going out for supper, having, just cups of tea in someone's house. There really is no limit with socials, I think.
And finally, Abhishek.
Yeah. So like we can't stop anyone, any clubs or any student to not to drink. It is like in a week or two they have a social event and all. So like telling them like if they want to, then we can't tell them to like don't drink or something like that, because is there social life and social clubs are organizing it for by thinking something. So in our views, like as an AU president, I will not interfere in that matters very much. But in terms of my team members and my community, I will just see that they are not consuming that thing more. That's all.
Great, thank you. Very, very well put answers. And now to and the next question is what have you given much thought to what initiatives you could join up with the VP opportunity? So that is the rebranded VP activities role that the brilliant Liv Harvey is currently in this year, but I guess you may want to focus more broadly. I know some of you have spoken about Guild President in this chat so far. So yeah, joint up initiatives with the other full-time officers. Abhishek, why don't we start with you?
Like I have to think upon it. Like for the VP opportunities president, I will just look into it that they also help us in organizing the sports event and all. And has the name suggested the VP opportunities, so we can just tell them we take part in the sports event, because there are a lot of opportunities available here, and many of the students will like to join it and participate in it. So for this question, like I don't have a straight answer right now. I have to think upon it, but it is like it is something that I have to think on it. What the fuck?
Great, thank you. And Ailish? You are on mute.
Mute. I knew that would happen at one point. So yeah, I think despite the obvious differences between the roles, they're all student elected roles. So their purpose is to serve what the students want. So for me, it'd be quite important to work with the Guild and with the VP of Opportunities, VP of Education, to really promote those non-sporting issues. Specifically for me, it would be diversity, inclusion, equality. So all the EDI we've been talking about. And then the ideas that they have working with them, try and apply that through sport and through the AU clubs. But I do think there needs to be like a big communication between everyone, because these issues should be addressed campus wide, not individually by different people. There should be a unity when we're talking about these issues.
Katie?
I agree in the sense that it's really important to work closely with the other positions, especially because I think it would bring AU clubs and Guild sports a lot closer. I've spoken to quite a few Guild society captains and presidents, and a lot of them want to become AU affiliated. And I think being close to some Guild presidents would really help in this sense, and VP opportunities. And also to make clubs, I was speaking to some club captains and they really felt that all of the sports clubs were quite separate. And to bring committees together, I thought about having charity matches where different committees play different sports. And I think mixing that with the Guild as well would integrate us as clubs even more.
Absolutely, sounds very exciting. Now this next question screams Stephen Brown, but it is, if you were given £10,000 to improve student sport, nice financial takeover, we can only dream, what would you spend that money on and why? So Katie, why don't you start us off with this one?
I would, the sports facilities are outstanding at Exeter, but the one thing I think is really lacking is our, accommodating equipment, like for disability sports. I was speaking to club captain of canoeing and the student disability campaign and getting boats that could help people, and wheelchair basketball, trying to afford equipment to help implement this would be my main focus next year, if I had that much money.
Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Ailish?
Yeah, so I have to completely agree. I think whilst on one hand it's amazing that we're introducing a disability sport in the upcoming years, it's equally as important to make all the current sports as accommodating as physically possible. So kind of like what you were saying, just making sure that they're accessible by as many people as possible, even though I understand financially there is a limit to that. But making sure that what can be done is done, basically.
Great. And finally, Abhishek, if you were to inherit a lovely pot of money.
Yeah, so like 10,000 pounds is a big amount, and if there's something we required to update in the university, then the disability one, the what Katie told is a nice option, because and apart from that, we will look what are the extra equipments and things we required in the university in the sports park, and we look into it, decide upon the committee team members and the guide society, and let when do accordingly what are the needs of the sports park in the university.
Great. Yeah, pray for that money because we need it. So there you go. There's something you can all do this evening after this is finished. The lockdown has highlighted the importance of social media on the student sport experience. How will you continue to improve the university's sports media and publicity presence and quality? Ailish, do you want to start us off?
This is a big point in my manifesto, but I want to modernise the current AU website. So currently it's just a list of clubs and just like a short description of each of them. But I want to make like an interactive student-friendly platform. And the main point is that clubs will have access to their own pages to edit and update them. So I want it to involve like fixtures, events, highlights, achievements, anything from those clubs. And I think it's the best thing is that it will create an equal exposure for all clubs, regardless if they're big clubs or small clubs. So I think that's something that would really help everyone across the AU.
Great. And Katie?
I think social media is one of the best ways to attract people to come to taster sessions and everything. And it's hard to believe it, but before lockdown, we didn't use TikTok or Zoom or anything like that. So I think we should build on these platforms that now exist and feel like they have done for a very long time to, make promo videos, really support clubs. And I was also speaking to some club captains, and we thought it'd be a good idea for the bigger clubs to use their platforms to like promote the smaller ones. Especially for me in lacrosse, playing competitively, I felt that I couldn't join another club despite wanting to, because Wednesdays were always taken. Whereas in hindsight, I could easily have done canoeing or surf had I known there were weekend sports, and we could have promoted this as a club.
Yeah, very, very good point. Very good point. I look forward to seeing your TikTok account if that comes to fruition. Abhishek.
Yeah. So yeah, students are more on social medias nowadays, and I would like to organize some social events, online game events in the society, so that students can participate in that games online, collaborating with another societies and club, and also trying to collaborate with another other university sports committee. We will just organize an events on social media platform like Instagram, on Facebook, so that students can participate and enjoy that time on social medias. Okay.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Next question is particularly relevant at the moment with the hashtag We Need to Talk campaign going on. And it is, how will you tackle sexual assault and violence across the student body? So I will go to Katie first on this one.
So the stats addressing this issue recently, that 97% of women have experienced this, are absolutely awful. But I do feel that a large percentage of this has probably happened on nights out and everything. So as AU president, focusing on student nights out, within lacrosse, we had walking buses with sober people, taking freshers to clubs and back from clubs, which I think was really good, but that was only implemented within the first week. And I think this should definitely happen for at least the first month for freshers who don't necessarily know their way about, especially if alcohol is involved. And I think having sober members at committee is really important, and just keeping up educating people about this.
I wholeheartedly agree. And Abhishek, your thoughts on this one?
So because of the recent events which were happening last few weeks, so after seeing that the new fresher students which are coming in the university, uh, we as a athlete union will try to try to teach them the self defense, and also teach their groups or the boys which are with the girls nowadays. So like how to help them and how to tackle some situation if they are coming from a late night parties and all. So like first of all, their self defense, then how to tackle this all by how to tackle this all, and if they are stuck in such situation, then how to get out. Like in so we have to train them in this situation, and I will look into it so that the freshers should not stuck in such of the situation because they are just coming now and new with the areas in around the accident. Okay.
Cool. And finally, Ailish?
Yeah, so I agree with what Katie was saying. The stats about this that have come out recently are shocking, but I think what's worse is the amount of backlash it's getting, which I think is just ridiculous, but it also just shows how much education is needed in this area. So I know we had sexual harassment training a few weeks ago, and I thought it was really, really good. But when you looked at the people who attended, it was majority females who technically, well, of course, there is always that risk, but who are much less likely to need this training. And so I want to make sure that this is some compulsory training that at least some of your club members have to attend. I think education is so, so important.
Absolutely. And talking about, a lot of few of you touched upon there about making sure people are safe, walking back from training or nights out or whatever. And I was reading earlier, I think it was one of the VP Liberation and Equality manifestos talking about lighting and student safety. So again, this is one of the areas you can link up with the full-time officers should the time come. So there's a starting point there to link up. Now we've got a bit more of a feisty question. It's got to that point in the evening. So what can you offer that other candidates cannot? So let me stew on that one for a second, and let's go to Abhishek first for this one.
So like it's a tough question. Like each and every candidate have different thoughts on their and different thoughts and different plan in this. But like I can do my best and I can offer what student want. The first priority will be the needs of the student and the need of the society. And apart from that, like I will try my best, and like about giving this answer like orally will be much better than I will do that task better. So that would be my first priority. And like I can't say like what I cannot give what other candidates can give. Each and every candidate have another thought. So I will do my best in that situation. But I can't promise you like what they need is what I can give them. Uh, for that I have to like look into the situation and talk to the university too.
Katie?
So something I feel that I could offer that perhaps maybe other candidates couldn't is the knowledge and experience I've gained from trying to source these wellbeing women's workshops. I've sacrificed a lot of my time this year, and I think that shows a lot of passion as well. On top of being in third year, having a degree and dissertation, the time I've put in towards something I'm so passionate about, which is wellbeing, and now having these connections to try and implement workshops with a lot more clubs next year is something I'd be really excited to try and offer.
Great. And finally, Ailish?
Yeah, so I think my manifesto, when I was writing it, the main point I was trying to offer up was development. So as great as some of this work has been this year, I don't want to just continue the same thing. I want to develop it next year and progress it, because that's what needs to happen. So for example, these workshops, I've worked so hard talking to different groups across campus, because I think everyone's voice is so equal. So Disability Campaign, Active Together, Be the Change are all working on such important issues. So I think I'm offering that development to integrate those into the AU.
all great answers, and I'm sure whichever one of you it is who is elected is going to do a fantastic job based off those responses alone. So good on you for that. This is a very nice question now, bit of self-reflection, but what achievement are you most proud of? Why don't we start with Katie for this one?
Is this achievement as from last year or the whole life?
You take the achievement wherever you want to take the achievement. I think maybe personal would be nice to get to know you a bit more, but it's completely up to you. Open ball.
Personal achievement is probably being selected to play for the Scottish lacrosse team when I was younger. That was such a big thing for me, and it enabled me to meet a lot of new people and go on tours and just saw completely new standards. I think that's really helped me develop as a person, and my passion for sport has increased as a result.
Certainly can't compete with that. Ailish?
Personal achievement, not to get deep, but I think just existing during like a insert swear word pandemic, because this sucks, man, but it's still going on. And I know I've benefited from being part of like basketball and stuff because we run welfare schemes, but I think I'm genuinely just proud that I'm just like still doing my degree and I'm just still like cracking on. And I know that's not a massive achievement, but it's something that I know I've struggled with and I know so many people have struggled with. So I think that's just like I just need a minute to be like, oh, I did all right, that's okay.
I agree. I think so many people would say the same as well. Like, it's been so tough for students, and yeah, hopefully it'll all be over soon. But I think no, that is a fantastic achievement and shouldn't be underestimated at all. Abhishek.
Yeah. So one of the personal achievement that I am proud of myself is the weightlifting competition that I had last year in my state level state level weightlifting competition. Like it was a very tough competition for me. A lot of hard work and training was involved in that with me and with my trainer. So at the last, I just won that competition, and it was a weightlifting competition. So that moment was a proud moment for me, and I was just trying that to win that thing from last 2 years, and at last I do that. So that was the one of the proud moments.
Great, you've all done some good stuff in your time. I think we're getting into the last couple of questions now, and starting with how will you improve access to sport for low-income students? This is a question that comes up often, I think, in the AU Press debate. So we'll start with Abhishek for this one.
So like for students who are like struggling with financial problems and all, so I will look that the university supports them if if the student is actually good in what he is playing. So I will just try to sponsor him or fund him from the hardship fund or the some I will bring some sponsorship from him and try to talk to the university and let them know that we have such students. He is facing such problems and he is really good in his sport. So we can support. We have to support him and like it will be good for us, for our university and for his future also.
Ailish?
So membership fees are always such a massive issue and they are very expensive, but there's only so much power that the AU has over the clubs, because I know, for example, in basketball, we're such a small club that we physically can't afford to lower the fees because we need that money to function. But then, so my idea about that in-house competition means that by being part of one club, you also get to experience like another sport without having to pay a full membership fee for it, and you get to do that with loads of different sports throughout the year by being just part of one club. So that's how I'm going to try and tackle that, because yeah, like I said, some clubs genuinely just need that money to function.
Finally, Katie.
So I agree that this can be such an issue, and I don't think it should just be the best athletes that gain from membership support. So one of my points in my manifesto is that I've been speaking to the AU to try and get membership support for each club. And I know Ailish said we do have limited funds and that is an issue. So depending on the club, a few students could apply for membership support if they really deemed it necessary, and the applications would be judged by club captains anonymously and members of the AU, whether it's reduced membership, and the percentage could depend on the club's funds. And even if they can't afford it, if they get reduced fees, they could give back to the club in other forms like coaching. And another point is the new league that I was speaking to Charlotte about implementing would hopefully be cheaper than Bucks teams, because you don't have the Bucks affiliation fee or as much travel costs. So it's a step up from intramural, but not as expensive as Bucks sports can be.
Great. So this is our penultimate question for the evening. As it came through, I was staggered by how tough it was, but just to ease your nerves a little bit at the end. So the question is, college officers are responsible for all aspects of the student experience in their respective colleges. How would you support the college officers with regards to sports at subject and college level? Let's go for Katie.
So as I mentioned before, I think it's really important to advertise intramural sports, and the fact that you can play as an academic society, or even just a friendship group. I think that's really important, but also providing support to the intramural leagues in the form of consistent coaching at the training sessions, because I know from experience it's not always been the case, and also referees at matches, because it's all very well playing competitively, but if there isn't a ref at matches, it can just get a bit tricky. So I think advertising that and supporting club officers with implementing it within their societies would be really good.
Ailish?
Yeah, so I think intramural sport is often overlooked in the shadow of AU clubs that offer bucks instead. So I think increasing that publicity for those events that they run would be so beneficial. So I know, for example, the medics always they're very big with hockey, and I lived with a few in first year, and some of the achievements that they had were so impressive, but we would never hear about it from like the guild or the AU or anything. So I think their achievements are equally as comparable as anyone else's. So I think that publicity to increase the exposure and to increase the awareness that these clubs exist, regardless, not just in the AU, I think is so important.
Great. And finally, Abhishek.
Yeah. So like college officers, I will just try to contact them and tell them about what we are organizing, and what the knowledge, and what knowledge, and also the each and every department of actually the university should have about sports, to educate them about the sports, and to collaborate with them. Like with I am from a business school, so I will just if for an example, I will collaborate with business school college officer, try to bring students in sports events and participate them, and educate them about the importance of sports in their life and in their studies and all. That's all. Cool.
Perfect. Thank you. You can all breathe a sigh of relief, because we're at the final question, and that is a fairly easy one to finish. How much contact do you have with other universities' sports clubs, and how could you use this during your year as AU Pres? Let's start with Ailish for the final time.
So I guess this is more personal connections. So I know the captain of women's basketball at Bristol, for example, and from playing against the same sort of people for the last 3 years, you kind of get to know faces from different teams. So I think those links would actually be really important, because whilst you play against each other competitively in bucks, you could also use an extra event, or create like an extra match against someone to promote yourself for like a varsity event maybe. So I know we're a small club, so a varsity for us would be a first, but I guess using these connections with other universities, you could just make sure that you could just run more events and make them more of a specific thing rather than just as part of a regular bucks league.
Great plans. Abhishek.
So in terms of connections with other universities, I had a quite good connection with within the universities in the UK, from whether it be from London to Manchester side, and also in the north side of England. I have many of my friends studying in different universities, and some of them are part of the sports committee. So in terms of connection, like I would like to organize some inter college inter university sports event if I am at the place of the president, and try to connect with other universities, try to organize some good games and competition among the universities, and it will be a like enjoyable event if it happens. Yeah.
And finally, Katie.
So for personal connections, I know someone working at the UCL sports department and a couple of club captains dotted around, but I do feel that they're very accessible to contact and communicate with. And I think this would be really good for organising, especially in pre-season, some friendlies, especially at Bristol and Plymouth, they're not too far away. But not even playing sport, even just chatting to them about socials and what's gone well for them as universities. It'd be really beneficial to get different perspectives and hear what other universities around the country are doing.
Perfect. Well, you can all pat yourself on the back because that is the end of the questions and you've all answered them fantastically. I am in about a minute's time going to ask you for less than 30 seconds on why students should vote for you. So you've got a little bit of time to stew over that. But I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for participating today. And of course, to everyone who tuned in live or who is watching this back. Make sure you check out the other Question the Candidate events for the other full-time officer positions. It's VP Liberation and Equality tomorrow afternoon, and then the big one, Guild President, tomorrow evening. So take the time to read all the manifestos. It's so important to use your student voice and vote for the students who will represent your priorities and enhance your student experience. Voting is open at the moment right now, and it closes at 4 p.m. on Thursday, so not too long to get your votes in before results are announced on Friday evening. So, very last thing before we go, a quick sentence on why people should vote for you. Abhishek, I'm going to come to you first.
Yeah. So, sir, I have previously clear that in my manifesto that why should students to vote for me. And like in 30 seconds, I would just like to tell them that if you think that I am a good candidate for them by reading my manifesto, then do vote for me, and you will get what you want from the university and what you want from the sports park, and what you need, what you actually need, what you want to play, and how they want the sports should be in the university. You will get that. And also for the girls in the university, I would like to tell them that I will encourage them to take participate, also organize some campaigns for their self-defense, which is very important nowadays. And for that should happen, just do vote for me. Thank you.
Great. Katie?
So at the end of the day, I know that COVID has really challenged all students' mental well-being, and I know the importance of sport and helping combat this. And I'm so passionate about students' well-being, and I hope that my work last year and 2 years on committees helped show this. And I'd love to be able to help students next year and provide all students with the opportunities to get involved that they need and support them through the process. So please consider voting for me and reading up on my manifesto.
And finally, Ailish.
I think you should vote for me because my overarching aim is to just make sport at Exeter an equal opportunity for everybody. And I just think that's so important. So regardless of any background you come from, you should be able to have access to sport at the university you go to. So yeah, like Katie said, please check out my manifesto if anything that I've said has resonated with you, or if you're just interested, I would just really appreciate it. Yeah.
Perfect. Well done, guys. That's it. Remember, everyone, voting's open now. Closes Thursday at 4. Enjoy your evening. Thank you for joining us.